The sun is hitting the chrome on my brother's brand new Tesla so hard it's blinding. It's sitting in the driveway of our childhood home in Chula Vista, right next to the ramp where our father used to wheel himself out to watch the sunset. My brother Marcus is whistling while he waxes the hood, telling me he got a performance bonus at the tech firm downtown. He looks successful. He looks like a grieving son doing his best, but 30 minutes ago, I was cleaning out the junk drawer in the kitchen and found a crumpled yellow envelope from the Green Hills Memorial Park. It wasn't a receipt. It was a final notice of forfeiture. My father had given Marcus $40,000 2 years ago to prepay for his funeral and a burial plot next to our mother. Marcus told the whole family it was handled. He even showed us a certificate at dinner last Christmas. "Hey, Marcus," I said, my voice as flat as the horizon. "I just drove past Green Hills. Plot 402 is an empty dirt lot. The manager says the account was closed for non-payment 14 months ago." The whistling stopped. The sponge hit the driveway with a wet thud. Marcus didn't turn around. He just kept staring at his reflection in the car door. "I'm Leo, I'm 34, and I've spent 10 years as a forensic auditor for the city. I don't guess. I don't feel like something is wrong. I track the numbers until they point at a thief." "I don't know what you're talking about, Leo," he finally muttered, turning around with a fake shaky smile. "There must be a clerical error. I'll call them Monday." "Don't bother," I said, pulling my phone out. "I already called the bank. The $40,000 check Dad wrote you wasn't deposited into an escrow account. It was cashed at a private teller window in Little Italy the same day you put the deposit down on this car." Marcus's face went from pale to a deep, ugly red. He didn't deny it. He didn't apologize. He stepped toward me, his hands still wet with soapy water. "Dad's dying anyway, Leo. He's not going to know where he's buried. I needed a reliable car to get him to his appointments. I'm the one here every day while you're in your office. I earned this." He walked past me into the house, leaving a trail of wet footprints on the porch. He thinks he's won because the car is in his name, and the house is under his care. But what he doesn't know is that I didn't just find the funeral notice. I found the hospice logs in the trash out back, and they show he hasn't let a real nurse into this house in 3 weeks. The house in Chula Vista smells like lemon-scented floor cleaner. But it's covering up something sour. Marcus is in the kitchen now, pretending to make Dad a smoothie. He's clinking glasses, acting like the dutiful son, while I'm standing in the hallway, looking at the door to our father's room. There's a whiteboard hanging there with hospice schedule written in Marcus's neat, professional handwriting. According to the board, a nurse named Sarah is here every Tuesday and Thursday at 10 a.m. I checked the Ring camera logs on my phone while I was sitting in the driveway. No one has walked up that porch in 18 days except for a delivery driver bringing Marcus's takeout. I walked into the bedroom. My father, a man who once spent 40 years as a high school principal, was propped up on 3 pillows. He looked smaller than the last time I saw him 2 weeks ago. His skin was the color of old parchment, and his eyes were half open, staring at a static-filled TV screen. He didn't even blink when I sat on the edge of the bed. "I'm Leo, I'm 34, and I know what end-of-life care looks like, but this wasn't it." This was a man being erased in his own home. I reached for the nightstand and picked up the bottle of liquid morphine the hospice center provides for pain management. It was nearly full. Then I checked the bottle of lorazepam for his anxiety. Also full. Marcus told the whole family Dad was comfortably medicated and slipping away peacefully. If he wasn't using the prescribed meds, how was Dad staying so quiet? I looked under the bed. There, tucked behind a box of medical gauze, was a generic bottle of over-the-counter sleep aid, the kind you buy at a drugstore for $5. It was empty. 3 bottles of it were shoved into the bottom of the trash can. Marcus wasn't managing Dad's pain. He was sedating him with cheap antihistamines so he wouldn't wake up and ask why the house was so quiet or why his bank account was draining into a Tesla payment. He's just resting. "Leo," Marcus whispered from the doorway. He was leaning against the frame, holding a glass of green liquid. "The nurse said his cognitive function is dropping. He doesn't really recognize people anymore." "Which nurse, Marcus?" I asked, standing up. I held up the empty sleep aid bottle. "Because I just called the hospice agency. They discharged Dad 3 weeks ago because you told them he was moving to a private facility in Loyola. They haven't sent a professional here in a month. Marcus didn't move. He didn't even flinch at the broken glass. His eyes went dark, that tech bro polish finally cracking. He's my father too. I'm doing what's best for his comfort. You don't live here. You don't see how hard this is. I'm the one with the power of attorney, Leo. If I say he's fine, he's fine. Now get out of his room before I call the cops for trespassing. He stepped toward me, but I didn't move. I just looked at my father, who let out a long, ragged breath in his sleep. I knew then that I wasn't leaving. Marcus thinks the power of attorney is his shield, but he forgot that I'm a forensic auditor. I don't need his permission to follow they. Money, and I already found the $12,000. Medical equipment deduction he took from Dad's savings last month for a wheelchair that doesn't exist. The air in the Mission Valley branch of our father's bank is freezing. I'm sitting in the back corner of the lobby, hidden behind a tall decorative plant, watching the front entrance. I knew Marcus wouldn't stay at the house after our fight. He's a panic buyer. When he feels the walls closing in, he tries to spend his way out. 5 minutes ago, his Tesla pulled into the handicapped spot out front. He walked in wearing a suit he hasn't touched in 3 years, clutching a leather portfolio like he's closing a corporate merger. He doesn't see me. He walks straight to the private wealth desk and asks for a manager. I can see his reflection in the glass partition. His leg is bouncing, and he's wiping sweat off his upper lip with a shaking hand. He's trying to use the power of attorney to close out my father's primary retirement account, a $140,000 annuity that was supposed to pay for a dignified end-of-life care facility. I need a cashier's check for the full balance, Marcus says, his voice carrying just enough to reach my corner. My father is being moved to a private hospice in Switzerland. We need the funds liquidated by the end of the business day. Here is the notarized power of attorney. The manager, a woman who looks like she's seen 1,000 scams in this city, leans in. She's looking at the document, then back at Marcus. She picks up her desk phone. Marcus is smiling that fake, polished tech bro smile, but his knuckles are white on the edge of the desk. He thinks he's minutes away from the ultimate performance bonus. I stood up and walked over. I didn't yell. I didn't cause a scene. I just pulled a manila folder from my bag and laid it on the desk right next to his notarized document. Inside was the report I'd spent the last 4 hours finalizing, the forensic audit of the Chula Vista house expenses, the forged hospice signatures, and the $12,000 wheelchair that was actually a down payment on a Tesla. There's a problem with that power of attorney. Marcus, I said, my voice cutting through his fake smile like a scalpel. Section 4. Paragraph B. It explicitly states that any transaction over $10,000 requires a secondary signature from the co-executor. That's me. I'm Leo, I'm 34, and I've been the co-executor since Dad updated his will in 2021. Did you forget that part when you were busy washing your car this morning? You're lying, he hissed, his face turning that dark, ugly purple again. Dad gave me full control. I'm the one taking care of him. You're just a bean counter who shows up when it's time to complain. The manager isn't calling the vault, Marcus, I said, looking him dead in the eye. She's calling the San Diego Police Department's Financial Crimes Unit. I already emailed them the digital trail of the $40,000 you stole from the funeral fund. They're about 3 minutes away. Marcus looked at the doors, then back at me. He didn't run. He just slumped back into the chair, the successful sun mask finally shattering into 1,000 pieces. He realized then that he hadn't just lost the money. He'd lost the one thing our father always valued more than a pension, his pride in his sons. The driveway is finally empty. Marcus is in the back of a San Diego police cruiser, his success exposed as a $40,000 theft from our father's burial fund. He isn't shouting anymore. He's just a fraud caught in a forensic audit. Inside, the house smells like real medicine, not drugstore sedatives. I'm Leo, 34, and I finally fired the fake hospice nurse Marcus used to keep Dad drugged. My father is sitting up now, his eyes clear for the first time in months. He gripped my hand, his voice steady. I thought I was dreaming my own death, Leo. Thank you for waking me up. The $140,000 annuity is frozen. The funeral plot is repurchased, and Marcus is facing 5 years for elder abuse. Justice isn't loud. It's a quiet house and a father who finally knows he's safe. If you think Marcus got what he deserved, type justice. I'm Leo. See you in the next one.